So, you want to hear a story, huh? Yeah, old Marcus still has a few tales to tell. And this is the start of something new.
Whoever said shooters had to be so serious all the time clearly never spent a weekend playing Borderlands. Sometimes you just want to kick back, fire ridiculous guns, and turn everything in your path into a light red Swiss cheese. If I also happen to rake in a mountain of loot while doing it, who's complaining? Good thing Borderlands 4 is here to fill my every loot-craving desire. I just hope that with this next edition of Borderlands comes with some fresh new ideas to keep the looter-shooter train going, instead of just being as boring and forgettable as the movie. Luck and load as one of 4 gun-toting, siren power-having, loot-grabbing vault hunters, as we say goodbye to Pandora, for now, and say hello Kairos to raid ourselves some vaults, and also stop a tyrannical overlord from controlling everyone on the planet, calling himself the Timekeeper while we're at it. Only this time around, Borderlands 4 tries to revamp the series by implementing some rather interesting features that tries to mix the old with the new, but it only ends up being more confusing the farther you dive into it. The planet-hopping, sci-fi, Guardians of the Galaxy-esque feeling from the predecessor has taken a back seat this time around, in favor of a more open-world layout that lets you progress however you see fit. It's kind of similar to Ubisoft's Far Cry series. I just wish that this new open world wasn't as empty as every theater showing the Borderlands movie. Driving around the streets of Pandora, or any other planet from the series, used to be so much fun. There's always a band of psychos to run over, or a hostile badass wildlife to shoot, or just some random area you drove past, hiding some much needed loot. But on Kairos, however, there was nothing. The area was so barren, I've actually driven from one side of the map to the other without barely running into anything that made me want to stop in awe. Which is a real shame for a series that has so much personality to it. The humor and co-op looter-shooter mechanics still manages to be one of Borderlands' biggest strengths. It perfectly blends some of its more serious undertones with the right amount of comedic touch that isn't afraid to not take itself too seriously. One second I was being mind-controlled by the Timekeeper, giving his standard evil villain monologue, and the next I was helping Claptrap steal a rather personal picture of Moxie while he explains how being set on fire was a sign of affection. It never gets boring, and that's what makes Borderlands so much fun to play, especially when you bring along your buddies. Borderlands is built on the foundation of co-op over single player. It's meant to be shared with everyone and anyone willing to pick up a controller. So it was a little odd this time around that felt like it was moving away from that mindset. The majority of my time with Borderlands 4 felt like it was geared more towards single player more than anything. Yeah, I still loved inviting 3 of my buddies over to cause a little mayhem on Kairos, but even then it all felt very separated rather than one big shared experience. It makes me miss the days where my friends or just about anyone online could just hop on the back of my vehicle and mow down whatever's in our way as I drove to our next objective. But what holds Borderlands 4 back the most is just how buggy it can sometimes be. From invisible walls to textures not loading in correctly, or even enemies at objectives refuse to spawn, resulting in an entire mission restart. Seriously, 4 hours in, and I had to restart at least 3 different missions because certain objectives just got stuck and refused to progress. It's not a total deal breaker, but it does start to get a little noticeable at times. It may not be perfect, but still a really fun experience to have if you're a fan of the series, or just want to play something with your friends. It may be a little buggy from time to time, but that doesn't even come close to throwing off this fun ride. The open world is a great new addition, even if it feels a little empty. But you can always fill that emptiness with guns, friends, and a lot more guns. It's good to see that Borderlands 4 retains that special blend of humor and loots this vault with a 7 out of 10.